I wanted to chat through what focuses need to kind of well, I guess everything really comes down to two simple feelings, two simple thoughts. One is fear, and the other is love. Now, I know we can't always simplify everything, right? And I guess it isn't, when you think about the different possibilities and complexities of things, it may not be that simple. But when you think about the core basis of things, words, feelings, emotions, thoughts, points of view, desires, etc., it all comes down to one of those two. And so, again, I'm not saying fear is never governed and it's never needed. Sometimes it is, but by and large, not really. By and large, fear really is only useful and needed in an actual survival situation. When you're genuinely needing adrenaline to hit your system in order to make you push through something that, if you didn't have adrenaline coursing through your veins, it's quite likely that you actually wouldn't survive. Now, when you really think about that, how often are we actually really in that sort of phase? Now, again, it depends on where you are in the world, etc. And even then, you don't really want to be like that all the time because it burns out your adrenal glands, right? And your adrenal glands, you definitely need those in a survival mechanism. So this is why things like, and I might be getting off topic a little bit here, but this is why things like consuming high amounts of caffeine, coffee, energy drinks, whatever, is a bad idea because it overworks your adrenal glands. And then if you actually do need to act in a moment, your adrenal glands might be fatigued, and then you can't have not cortisol, but I guess it would be adrenaline push through your system in order to pull you through on instinct, right? But that's not really what happens, is it? I mean, the adrenal glands part, yes, but I mean that's not usually what people use fear for. Most of it is silly, nonsensical stuff. Like, let's just face that. In a lot of cases, people are afraid of things that aren't happening, were never going to happen. And then, of course, there's that whole concept of you suffer twice, don't you? Because that thing may not happen that you're afraid of. And then when it doesn't, you've spent all that time worrying about it. Now, sometimes these things can't be helped. I understand that. But it's worth having a little moment with yourself, and we all have to do this, I think. When we're in a state of fear and anxiety, what are you afraid of? Right? The reason you have these feelings is that you're supposed to work it out. So what is it that you're afraid of? Why are you afraid of it? Is it actually happening now? Or is it something you're afraid might happen in the future? Because if it is, you don't do yourself any favor stressing out about it. Now, everybody's different. If we're going to bring in astrology, there are some signs that are known to be a little bit more tense or have a harder time with this. There are some that are more obsessive in their thoughts, and it can kind of go around in circles. Now, I'm not saying that excuses it, but I'm just saying it can be the baseline. It can be the thing that you might jump to. But again, it's still the fear-based version of that sign. So the awareness of that helps. And again, this can help in all of these avenues. So whether you know about this stuff or not, it's helpful to know. Same thing with numerology, human design, gene keys, I Ching, Chinese zodiac, all this stuff, right? All this stuff helps decode people. And I know sometimes people think it's a bit fluffy and that there's no point to it, but I disagree. I think the more you understand these things, the more it makes sense, the less potential you have to be driven by your fears. And in like I said, in most cases, they're irrational fears. They're not actually happening. They're not going to happen, and they don't have to, right? Because this is the other interesting part. If you're governed by fear and that's what drives you, you often, because that's your focus, that's what you create in your life. Reasons to be afraid. And then, of course, you have confirmations, don't you? Well, because I spent, and maybe you don't know this, or you're not aware of it, but because you spend all your time being afraid of this thing that hasn't happened yet, your focus is there, right? So the universe is going to back that up and go, okay, well, this is what you spend your time freaking out about. So I'll create more instances or more lessons for you to learn so you can get past this. That's the whole point. That's the whole point of experiences and fear and lessons and obstacles and challenges. All of these things are to help you overcome your fears. So when you think about that, when you understand that, it starts to put things into perspective. At least I hope. I'm not saying that instantly makes it go away and now it's easy. No, that's not how it works. But it gives you some idea and some understanding of why you might do what you do and think the way that you think, and whether it helps you or it hinders you. So on the flip side, we look into love, right? When we embrace love, now first it has to come from within. It has to. It cannot come out if it's not first there in the inside, in the base, right? So, and a lot of people think, and this is what, well, I don't think people think this. I think this is what people try to tell other people. And again, this could be your own way of trying to hide your insecurities, to hide your fears, whatever that might be. To try and convince yourself, but deep down, you don't believe it, right? Deep down, you know that you don't feel as much love for yourself as you should for whatever your reasons might be. But you hold yourself back if that's your point, right? So you have to figure out how to love yourself first. Then loving everyone or everything else is easy after that point. Because I don't know why, but it's an interesting thing about human beings, and I might have to look into this further. I think it is to do with the brain. I think it is that sort of survival mechanism that kicks in. The brain will do its best to protect you in all scenarios. And sometimes that fear can make you feel safe in the moment, right? And like I said, you need to have that ability if you're actually in a survival situation where if you didn't have it, you could potentially, die. Obviously, you need those mechanisms. But it's about sort of hacking your brain and making it work for you. Because at the end of the day, it's an ideas factory, right? So it starts thinking up things. And again, whatever your focus is, whatever the lens is, if the lens is fear and anxiety and depression and anger and hate and stress and whatever words you want to think of, they're all baselined in fear, right? If that's your focus, if that's the lens at which you see, right? You can imagine glasses. Let's do sunglasses. That just makes it more interesting. Or tinted glasses, right? So your tinted glasses are blue. All you can see now when you have those glasses on is blue. Everything, obviously different colors are going to show differently, but the baseline color is blue, right? So that baseline is fear. Everything that you will see will now be tainted and affected by that blue, by that fear. It becomes difficult to see outside of that because that's where you're already starting from. Change the lenses to pink and you can see through, right? Now, again, that pink is going to create a difference in color for all the things that you see, but the baseline is still pink. I wanted to describe it that way because it makes it more real, makes it more, textual. You know what I mean? Like you can kind of get your fingers into it. You can kind of, it's something that you now can not only just see it or sense it. It's something that's more physical. Like you can identify with it. But that's why this is important. And again, I'm not saying that fear is bad 100% of the time. You do need it sometimes. But if you let that be the thing that you view life with, that you view your life with, I promise you, it's that flip-flop of the brain, right? If you're in that constant state of fear, you can't think logically, right? Those two separate hemispheres, they don't know each other exist. So when you're in a fear state, you cannot make logical decisions. When you're overcome with your emotions and you're controlled by them and you're highly reactive and you're triggered all the time and whatever, you cannot think logically. It cannot be done. Right? Fear is in the driver's seat now. Fear is the lens at which you look through your life. On the flip side, when you make the basis about love, this is safety, this is care, this is nurturing, this is fairness, right? This is acceptance. Anything that's more of a positive, right? So gratitude, abundance, right? All this kind of stuff. That's what's going to come through, and that's how you're going to view things. That's how you're going to view yourself and view your life. And I'm not saying go all wide-eyed Pollyanna, delusion, whatever. But, I mean, when you think about the two, it's probably better in a way. I mean, even if things don't necessarily work out, at least you're looking at it from a lens of, well, I did my best. I did everything I could. I cared as much as I could. You can't go back and think, oh, well, I mean, you can, of course, but I don't advise it. But, I shouldn't have loved that person so much, right? I shouldn't have cared so much. You might say that, but really, isn't it better to care more than not enough? I mean, if that's naturally how you're feeling, if your natural inclination is to care, how is that ever bad? And at the end of the day, it's more that person, whatever happened, if we're talking about relationships or just interactions in general or whatever, that person can only meet you where they've met themselves. So it's still not going to be a bad thing. And sometimes there's this idea people have that, I was so stupid for caring about that person. No, you weren't. It's never a stupid thing to extend care and love towards someone else. It doesn't make you look stupid. It doesn't do any of that, because at the end of the day, if you're with someone who thinks you're stupid for caring, okay, you can think I'm stupid. I know the truth. A person with a big heart who can't be corrupted in this day and age, I mean, excuse me, I can't see that as a bad thing. I just can't. A person who just goes, you know what, I'm going to be me, right? I love and care about myself, and so I will extend that love and care to others. There's nothing more powerful than that. And maybe it doesn't affect people directly, but imagine the gift that is being around someone who extends that care and that love no matter what. That might be the only time you ever come in contact with that. I mean, I hope not. But it could be. And what a gift. And then, again, you might think, oh, but, I could get played or whatever. Well, again, that's not your fault, is it? It was a lesson for you to learn that that's not the person for you. That's not people you want to be around. You know what I mean? That's all it is. It's not that you should change who you are because you've come in contact with something like that. It's a confirmation, isn't it? Well, I tried. I tried to extend out to that person, and I tried to show them care and love, and I did all these things. I was being myself. I was extending the love and care that I feel for myself outward, and the other person hasn't met themselves at that level. It has nothing to do with me. I'm not going to change who I am. That's powerful. And I say this because I think it's something to strive towards. I think it's something human beings could work more on. Not being so afraid. Because fear will hold you back from everything. Who you truly are, the gift that you have to give, the things that you can embrace, the things that you can enjoy, and the things you can enjoy things with people. What a gift that is. So that's why I wanted to bring up this sort of concept, this parallel of thinking moment to moment, feeling moment to moment. Is my basis fear oriented? Is my point of view through the lens of fear? Or is it through the lens of love? Through the lens of fear is always uncomfortable. That's how you can know. It's all the words that base in fear, right? So triggers, anxiety, depression, you go further. Those are all fear-based words. They don't feel good. Love-based words do. Gratitude, positivity, prosperity, perspective. Again, I guess perspective could be seen in few different ways. It's more neutral, but still, having a good perspective is going to be a loving one that you enjoy. But gratitude's a big one. And curiosity. These two are the antidote to pretty much everything that's not going to feel good. And it will put you into that basis of love. So I just thought I would bring that up. Like, obviously, I do have a reading that's about self-love, and I made a video, like a training video as well, that I have on the Gumroad website. That one's more general. It's more like affirmation-based, like ways that you can incorporate these things to change your pathways about how you see yourself and how you see, self-love and these kinds of things. The reading I do, it's you, right? I'll look at your chart and your particular struggles and challenges in terms of what makes it harder for you to be able to love yourself, and what those real issues might be. And again, how to overcome them. But it's personal to you, right? No one else will have your exact chart. So I made those on purpose because I think it's important. So reach out if you need to, but otherwise, consider, what lens are you seeing things through your life? Is it love or is it fear?